Today for our daily cancellation, we turn to a viral article in the Orlando Sentinel. The piece is written by guest contributor Jonathan Van Boskirk with the headline, "I love Disney World, but wokeness is ruining the experience." And it begins this way. He says, "My family and I have been loyal Disney customers for decades. We vacation at Disney World every year. We take a Disney cruise every year or two. Consequently, we spend way too much money in Orlando. Unfortunately, I'm strongly rethinking our commitment to Disney and thus Orlando. The more Disney moves away from the values and vision of Walt Disney, the less Disney World means to me. Disney is forgetting that guest immersion is at the core of its business model. When I stand in Galaxy's Edge or Fantasyland, I know I'm in a theme park, but through immersion and my willingness to set the real world aside, something magical happens. That spell is broken when the immersive experience is shattered by the real world. And boy, has Disney been breaking the immersion." Okay, now already we have a problem because a grown man is describing Disney World as magical. It's arguable whether a grown man ought to be calling anything magical, unless the thing is literally magical, like if you stumble across a lamp with an actual genie inside it or something, then you could call that magical. But certainly, that sort of sentiment should not be applied to a theme park. I've been to plenty of theme parks, and at this point in my life, they do not put me under any sort of spell. If I'm immersed in anything, it's the thought of how much damned money I'm spending for the privilege of standing in a series of long lines while listening to kids, other people's and my own, whine about the line, the heat, they want a snack, et cetera, et cetera. As I said, this article went viral, and most people are criticizing the writer, but not for the reason that I'm criticizing him. I take issue with Mr. Van Boskirk primarily because adult men shouldn't like Disney World so much, or at all. And I've made this point before, and I've been told by other adult men that I'm nothing but a curmudgeon for saying this because Disney World is the happiest place on earth. And how could I hate the happiest place on earth? Now, I am indeed a curmudgeon, but even so, a place that trademarks itself as the happiest place on earth and charges you hundreds of dollars to experience that happiness is certain to be anything but the happiest place on earth. For me, it's not like I don't have any happy place. For me, the happiest place on earth for me is a quiet lake at 6 a.m. with a coffee mug and a fishing rod. Second happiest is the same lake 12 hours later with a beer instead of a coffee. That, for me, that's the happiest. It's quiet, it's free, it's peaceful. The idea of trading that in for a theme park is repugnant to me on a deep and visceral level. No way. That's my problem with this article. That's my problem with it. Everyone else seems to be taking issue with this part, where he writes, quote, "Recently, Disney announced that cast members are now permitted to display tattoos, wear inclusive uniforms, and display inclusive haircuts. Disney did all of this in the name of allowing cast members to express themselves. The problem is, I'm not traveling across the country and paying thousands of dollars to watch someone I don't know express themselves. I am there for the immersion and the fantasy, not the reality of a stranger's self-expression. I do not begrudge these people their individuality, and I wish them well in their personal lives, but I don't get to express my individuality at my place of business. What's next? Is Disney going to end the rule barring on-stage cell phone use by cast members as an infringement on self-expression?" Now, people are mocking the writer for this passage, but he's actually 100% correct about this part of it. I personally have no stake in the uniform requirements for Disney princesses, but as a neutral third party, I can say, yes, this is stupid. If your job is to pretend to be the Little Mermaid or whoever, then that's your job. Nobody cares about your self-expression. Nobody goes to Disney and pays all that money to see, Sarah Johnson from Lakeland, Florida express herself. They're not going for that. They want to see the Little Mermaid. That's why they're there. Why they go to see the Little Mermaid is a different question. Why grown men go to see the Little Mermaid is definitely a whole separate question. But that's what they're doing. That's what they want. And your job is to give them what they want. It'd be like if I worked at McDonald's and I decided that I was going to personally change the recipe of the Big Mac in order to express myself. If I said, I'm giving out these Big Macs all day and I can't communicate my inner feelings through this Big Mac recipe, I'm going to change it. See, the problem is the people in the drive-thru line, they're not there to get Matt Walsh's twist on the Big Mac. They're there for the Big Mac, the same Big Mac they've always had. And my job is to give them that. Again, there's the same question as to why anyone would want that product, but if you work there, it's not your place to be asking those questions. It is not to reason why, it is but to do and die. That wisdom from the charge of the Light Brigade applies both to military units and Disney World employees, in my mind. So on this point, I agree with Mr. Van Boskirk. He continues, more broadly, like many corporations, Disney has been politicizing its business. Disney is in the process of taking the woke scalpel to the Jungle Cruise. Trader Sam is out because he might offend certain people. Every grown-up in the room realizes that Trader Sam is not a representation of reality and is meant as a funny and silly caricature. It's no more based in racism than every Disney caricature of an out-of-touch white American dad. Side note, no, grown-ups don't know who Trader Sam is. That's the grown-up perspective on this. But anyway, the next time I ride Jungle Cruise, I will not be thinking about the gloriously entertaining puns of the skippers. I will be thinking about Disney's political agenda. That's a mood killer. Disney proclaims that Splash Mountain must change because of its association with Song of the South. Disney owns Splash Mountain, so it can do what it wants. But if Disney screams at the top of its corporate voice, which is pretty loud, that it's changing it to appease a certain political point of view, now every time I look at that ride, I am thinking about politics. The same with Pirates of the Caribbean. Disney has made significant changes to Pirates of the Caribbean over the years. Whether Disney caved to political pressure or really thought the alterations were necessary is irrelevant. Finally, it concludes with this. Disney World is going to lose us as customers if it continues down this path. I don't want to have Disney World taken away from us because Disney cares more about politics than happy guests. Disney, please return to the values and vision of Walt. The customer experience should be the core of your business model. Immersion should not be sacrificed on the altar of political correctness and appeasing the Twitter mob. Okay. Now, I join the writer in opposing the wokeification and PCification of pop culture. I agree with the general sentiment, though again, you wouldn't have this problem if you were out on the lake, like a man. But this man and every other conservative needs to understand something. Disney, like so many other companies, hates your guts. That is not going to change. Disney hates you, despises you. It will gladly take your money. If you insist on pushing your money into its hand, if you continue to empty your wallet right into Disney's grubby paws, it'll be happy to oblige. They'll put their hands out and say, go ahead, give me all your money. But it hates you. And giving Disney your money begrudgingly, scowling and complaining while you do it, that doesn't accomplish anything. Money is money. You don't achieve anything by saying, gosh darn it, Disney, I'm not happy with you. I'm really miffed about this. Oh, how much was that? $646? Okay, here you go. Anyway, I am so displeased with you, Disney. That message just lacks a certain weight, I guess. The only thing that will make a difference, make a dent, is if you withhold your money completely. Again, Disney hates the majority of its customers. If all of those customers said, okay, well, screw you too then, and took their money elsewhere, things would change. But if you aren't willing to do that, then there's no point in complaining. So we have to make a decision. Okay? It's decision time. Either we can shut up and be good and cooperative little consumers and open our mouths and consume whatever they serve to us, whatever heaping pile of toxic sludge they put in front of our faces, we could just dive right in. Or we can be discerning and intentional in how we spend our money. You know, those are the choices. If we choose the former, then we might as well stop whining and go with the flow. Whichever the case, it's time to choose, door one or door two. The writer of this article seems to want to have it both ways, and so he is canceled. Also, a lot of his critics are canceled for disagreeing with his correct points. You know, they disagreed with him for the wrong reasons, and so they're canceled. And Disney is canceled too. And the Disney princesses with tattoos also canceled. Everyone is canceled, as it should be. Listen, hit that subscribe button right now. Do it right now. I thank you for your compliance. It is somewhat appreciated.